Okay, in this video I'm going over Mod 9 review. I am going to go rather fast to get through more questions, so pause, rewind, slow me down if you need to. It is a video, so you can go ahead and do that. So first of all, to simplify each expression and find the excluded values are our directions. So I'm going to start by finding the excluded values. The excluded values are when your denominator equals 0. So I don't need to set 3 equal to 0 because 3 will never be 0. But 6x can equal 0 when you have x as 0. So our excluded values are when x equals 0. And then the next part is to simplify. So we're going to get common denominators. And to do so, I need to multiply this side by a 2x, multiply by a 2x, because 2x times 3 is 6x. So on top I have 8x squared plus 4 over 6x. And if we notice 8, 4, and 6, 2 goes into all of those, so I'm going to reduce that by 2, and I'm going to get 4x squared plus 2 over 3x. So we have our excluded value and we have our simplified version. For number 2, they already have common denominators, which is awesome, but I do need to find my excluded value. So I take my denominator, which is 45x minus 36, and set that equal to 0. And I add 36 to both sides. So 45x equals 36. Divide by 45. And I get x equals 36 over 45. I do know that 3 goes into both of these, so I'm going to get 13 over 15. That is my excluded value. So exclude when x equals 13 over 15. And then since I already have common denominators, I know that I need to distribute my negative here. And my numerator is 5x minus 1 minus 3x plus 1 over 45x minus 36. Combine like terms on the top, and I get a 2x, a negative 1 and a positive 1 give me a 0. So on top I get 2x. On bottom, I get 45x minus 36. 2 is the only thing that goes into the numerator, and it doesn't go into my denominator, so I'm simplified. So I went over 1 and 2, so a adding and subtracting one. For 3 and 4, notice that you need to get common denominators first in both of these. So go ahead and get common denominators and then try to combine like terms. Don't forget to find your excluded values. I'm going to go on to a multiplication question. Now, number 5 is already factored for us, so I feel like that one's a little bit easier, so I'll leave you guys to do that one, and I'll go ahead and do number 6. So for number 6, I'm going to go ahead and factor this right here, and I have m times m, and then I have 108, and I'm just going to use the top. And I'm going to think, does 12 go into 108? Because most likely these are going to reduce out. I'm guessing that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and see, does 12 go into 108? Well, 12 does go into 108 9 times. And if I check, 9m and 12m will add to 21 if both are positive. So I've factored my denominator. So now I can find my excluded values. So for my excluded values, I set my denominators equal to 0. So when m plus 9 equals 0, m plus 12 equals 0. And then 6 will never equal 0, so I don't have to worry about that one. I get the excluded values m equals negative 9 and m equals negative 12. And then for simplifying, remember with multiplication, you can think of this as just one big fraction bar in the sense that we can multiply straight across and cancel anything out. So I have a m plus 12 on top and an m plus 12 on bottom, so I cancel those. And I get 14 over 6. Well, those can reduce by 2, so that's 7 and 3. So I have 7m squared left on top, and 3 times m plus 9 left on bottom, and nothing else simplifies. Now for division, we can remember that we have to freeze, change, flip. And with this, like if we look at this, my excluded values right now would be when r equals 0. Now after I flip this, so I have 15r divided by 6 times 15r over 5, I have to then set these denominators equal to 0 as well, which neither of those will equal 0, so I only have one excluded value. But now I need to simplify. So if I multiply straight across, I have 15 times 15 and r times r, so I get 225r squared over 30. And I could have reduced that 5 here, and I could have reduced a 3 here, which means that 15 goes into both of these. And 15 goes into 225 15 times, and 15 goes into 30 2 times. So nothing else simplifies, and there is my answer. So going on to the back page, if I did one of these division ones, let's actually do this one, number 10. I factor this, and I have n and n. Again, when I see an n plus 7 on top or a 3 here, I think to myself, do those numbers go into 133? And 7 goes in 19 times. So let's see, does 7n and 19 equal negative 12? Well, yeah, if this one's negative and this one's positive. So that's my denominator here. So let's rewrite that. N plus 7 over n plus 7 times n minus 19. And then I have times, freeze, change, flip, n minus 3 over 1. And when it's multiplication, think of it as one big division. This and this will simplify, and I'll get n minus 3 over n minus 19. Now, don't forget your excluded values. Our excluded values are any of the denominators set equal to 0. So when I set this equal to 0, I get n equals negative 7 as an excluded value. When I set this equal to 0, I get n equals 19. When I set this equal, I get n equals 3. And then these denominators were the same as these, so I don't have to, and 1 will never be 0, so I'm okay. So in this one, I have 3 excluded values. Now let's go on to the ones that you guys will probably think are the harder ones, and that's to solve each equation, and then remember to check if it's an extraneous solution. So I'm going to start with 14 because I feel like that's the one you guys would think is the hardest one. And if we remember, the way we do this is we find our LCD and we multiply everything by that. So in order to do that, we have to factor our denominators. And so if I factor this, I can take out an x. Here I can't factor, here I can't factor. So it looks like my LCD is x times 4x minus 3. And that's what I'm going to multiply to everything. So x, 4x minus 3 is being multiplied to this side. X, 4x minus 3 is being multiplied to this one. And x, 4x minus 3 is being multiplied to this one. So let's see, the x and the x will cancel out. The 4x minus 3 and the 4x minus 3 will cancel out. And I'm just left with x plus 1 there. For here, the 4x minus 3 and the 4x minus 3 cancel, and I get x times x, which is x squared. And then I have minus, let's see, x, sorry, I got carried away there. 4x minus 3 and 4x minus 3. And I'm left with x times x minus 6. So all of my denominators should have canceled, which they did. And now I can go ahead and solve this. So let's distribute this x. So x plus 1 equals x squared minus x squared minus 6x. Oh, plus 6x. This x squared and this x squared cancel, and I get x plus 1 equals 6x. Subtract x. So 1 equals 5x, and x equals 1 over 5. So I need to check if that was an extraneous solution, and the extraneous solutions are what would make these denominators in the original equation 0. So would 1/5 make any of these 0? No, so that's my solution. So this question actually isn't one of the harder ones. Let's slide over to 13 and check this one out. Let's factor our denominators. 2 times v minus 6, 2 times v minus 6, and then v minus 3. So my LCD, the thing I'm going to multiply to each of these, is 2, v minus 6, and a v minus 3. So let's multiply that to everything. 2, v minus 6, v minus 3, 2, v minus 6, v minus 3, and 2, v minus 6, v minus 3. So 2 and 2 cancel, v minus 6, v minus 6 cancel. Left on top right there we have 3v times that v minus 3. These two here being multiplied. For this one here, the 2, good, the v minus 6, and then left is v plus 1 times v minus 3. These two here. And this last one, just the v minus 3 cancel, and so I'm left with 2 times v minus 6. Alright, so let's go ahead and distribute this. So 3v squared minus 9v, and then if I FOIL these I get v squared minus 3v plus 1v minus 3, and if I combine like terms I get v squared minus 2v minus 3 equals 2v minus 12. And so I'm going to combine like terms. I get 4v squared minus 11v minus 3, and I'm going to move over these two now, subtract 2v, and add 12, and I get 4v squared minus 13v plus 9 equals 0. So I moved everything to one side so that I can then factor this and solve my quadratic. So 4 times 1 is what multiplies to 4, and I could try 3 and 3, but that would give me 12 and 3, and that will not give me 13. So I'm going to try 9 and 1, and that 9v and 4v will give me 13 if both of these are negative. So if I set these equal to 0, I have 4v minus 9 equals 0, so that add 9, 4v equals 9, and v equals 9 over 4. So there's 1, and then solving this one here, I would get v equals 1. Now I need to check if either of these are extraneous solutions for the beginning. If they are, then that's an extraneous solution. So, I'm sorry, I need to check if they're excluded values. So I'll plug that in, 9/4, nope, nope, nope. So we're good on that one. That one is a solution. And 1, 1, 1, nope, it does not make any of my denominators 0, so those are my two solutions. So, quick recap on the adding and subtracting. Get common denominators and combine like terms. On the multiplication and division, multiplication, multiply straight across, division, freeze, change, flip, and then multiply straight across. And with these, solving, get the LCD, multiply everything by the LCD, and then don't forget to check for extraneous solutions. Good luck and happy studying!